Hi, my name's Daniel. I got diagnosed with autism back about 11 years ago now. As far as school goes, I had a very negative experience with school. I didn't like the environment at all because they pretty much, basically everyone around me, the teachers and whatnot, they tended to pretty much sweep autism and various other disabilities under the carpet, except for those that were obvious. So pretty much autism I felt was pretty much ignored. So I can't really think of anything positive about my my education years. It's one of those unfortunately very sad and negative ones. So yeah, nothing really comes to mind as far as that goes. So as far as challenges go, really the whole environment of mainstream school was very challenging because one of my biggest barriers in life was, aside from learning, it was meeting new people. Didn't like it. It wasn't that I didn't like the people, I just didn't like the process of meeting them. And, getting to know all the teachers, getting to know the environment with which I was, doing my schooling in. So, and also the subjects, whether it was English or maths, doesn't matter what subject it was really, but what I found was that schools didn't really accommodate my learning needs. And one thing that didn't help back in the 90s was that really, there wasn't really much known about autism. It was a very sort of a hidden type of condition. No one really knew about it, especially where I'm from up in regional Queensland. So there was very little known about it. So really, that's, I suppose, is one of the reasons why it was such a negative experience. I felt very isolated and very much ignored. And my parents were pretty much treated like a bunch of idiots, which is really sad because it made me resent them, to be honest. So that was a very, I think that pretty much answers those questions. So yeah, very, very challenging. I didn't have any aids that I was aware of. I was in the same class at one point as students who had aids. So there were some students who were lucky to get them, but unfortunately I didn't get it because I guess I was seen as too high functioning. I mean, as you're watching me talk, you probably can't see it in me. So, but I get that all the time. So really, there were lots of challenges, learning, homework, all that sort of stuff, and really just fitting in with the crowd and trying my hardest not to be the teacher's pet, but that was almost impossible to avoid because autistics are known as, in my opinion, as almost really teachers' pets. So really, it's really, it made life very awkward and very embarrassing. So, but yeah, look, there was nothing easier than anything else or harder. The whole experience was quite difficult. So, I suppose, to be honest, just being there, that was a challenge in itself because I didn't like the environment in similar ways that I haven't liked some of the jobs I've had in my working life. So, the whole idea of trying to fit in, that didn't work for me, as I said before, and really, so if I couldn't learn properly and I couldn't mingle, if I couldn't learn properly and that was a barrier, then really mixing with other students was not going to be any easier. It was just going to be just as hard possibly, if not harder. So that's really what it was like for me. So I think really, with all that in mind, schools need to be more made aware. Like the whole community, to me, really needs more awareness of autism. But schools in particular, because that's where a child first starts their most important years of their life. So to me, I think teachers need better awareness among all people. So better awareness and better options, I suppose, for autistic kids to have improved teaching aids or aids for their learning environment. So most of the jobs I applied for were pretty much either a failure or, I have a history pretty much where I haven't lasted more than 6 to 12 months in a lot of the jobs I've had, with the exception of my current one, which finally I found about 2.5 years ago now, nearly 3 years ago, because that's disability employment, because I'm on the pension, basically. It's a supportive environment, so I can just be myself, whereas in open employment, you have to literally, your problems are swept under the carpet, so you basically have to blend in with society just like any mainstream school. So, I mean, as much as there are services out there to help us find work, they're poorly funded, they need a lot more work. They've got a long way to go, and really, it saddens me to say this, but to me they're very poor. I've been with over 5 providers that help you look for work over the last 10 years or more, and I've had largely negative experiences with the majority of them. So really, the government really needs to needs more awareness of autism, so that more individuals like myself can be helped a lot more. And the earlier it starts in a child's life, the better off they are, because that way they're more likely to be a taxpayer as opposed to living off the taxpayer like myself, unfortunately. So, it's a, unpleasant reality for many of us.